It was a cloudy Thursday morning in downtown Portland, the kind of day when people keep their heads down, rushing to their jobs, coffee in hand, eyes glued to their phones. Outside a sleek glass building, home to one of the city's fastest-growing tech companies, a man in torn jeans and an old military jacket stood quietly by the revolving doors. He didn't speak, didn't ask for money. He just stood there, watching. People passed him by like he was invisible. Some glanced at him with pity, others with annoyance. Security gave him side eyes, but didn't move him away. Maybe because he wasn't bothering anyone, or maybe because something about him felt different. Inside, the staff of Solvix Technologies buzzed with energy. It was pitch day, big investor was expected. Everyone was dressed sharp, rehearsed, caffeinated, but no one noticed the man outside. No one except Mia. Mia, 27, was the front desk manager. Sharp, kind-hearted, and always running late. As she stepped through the lobby, she paused near the glass. The man looked familiar, but she couldn't place him. Meanwhile, in the executive suite on the top floor, people were whispering. The founder of Solvix, David Blake, had been missing for over 5 years. No press release, no resignation, no explanation, just gone. Some said he'd burned out, others believed he was living on an island. The truth was, no one knew, and the new board members liked it that way. No founder meant no interference. Back at the door, the man finally stepped forward. Slowly, cautiously, he entered the building. His steps were quiet, but deliberate. Security perked up. One guard approached. "Sir, you can't be in here." The man looked him in the eye. Calm, steady. He didn't argue. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn ID badge. Dusty, scratched, but unmistakable. The name read, David R. Blake, founder, Solvix Technologies. The guard froze. The hallway went silent. Mia dropped her coffee. "Wait, is this real?" she asked, walking over. David looked around the lobby. Everything had changed. The walls, the logo, the people. It didn't feel like home anymore. "I built this place," he said softly, "but I came back to see if it still remembers me." Within minutes, the news traveled up the floors like a storm. Phones buzzed, emails pinged, and on the 10th floor, the current CEO, Jared Langston, stared at the security footage in disbelief. "No way," he muttered. "This can't be him." But it was, and the past was walking back through the front door. Mia, now guiding David toward the private elevator, whispered, "Where have you been all these years?" David looked at her, eyes tired but sharp. "Trying to survive the world I helped create." As the elevator doors closed, Jared ordered security to stop them, but it was too late. David Blake was on his way up, and what he was about to reveal would change everything. The elevator ride was silent, but heavy. David's eyes scanned the glowing floor numbers as they climbed higher, his fingers brushing the ID badge that still hung around his neck like a forgotten relic. Beside him, Mia kept stealing glances. She couldn't believe it. The man who had disappeared from headlines, stock charts, and tech blogs, he was right next to her, and he smelled like rain and old paper. When the doors opened on the 10th floor, silence fell over the entire corridor. Employees paused mid-call, fingers frozen above keyboards. Jared Langston stood waiting in the hallway, arms folded, his face blank, but eyes burning with calculation. "Well," Jared said with a faint smile, "you've certainly got everyone's attention." David stepped out, calm but steady. "You redecorated." Jared chuckled. "We had to modernize. 5 years is a long time, David." David walked past him slowly, into the glass-walled boardroom. People whispered. Phones captured video. The man who built Solvix brick by brick was now back, dressed in threadbare clothes, but somehow, still in control. He stood at the head of the table, the very table where he once pitched his first design. "I never planned to leave the way I did," he began, "but something broke in me. The pressure, the pace, the endless noise. I thought stepping away would help me breathe. I didn't know it would nearly kill me." Gasps quietly echoed. He continued, "For years, I slept in shelters. I worked at diners. I lived in places where people forgot their own names. I watched the company grow from a distance, but I didn't feel proud. I felt lost. Jared interrupted, with respect. David, Solvix thrived in your absence. We restructured. We grew revenue 200%. This isn't the same company you left. David turned to him, unshaken. Exactly. That's why I came back. Not to reclaim the name, but to remind you what it once stood for. He reached into his coat and placed a small envelope on the table. Inside were hand-drawn designs, old ideas, forgotten ideas, visions that never made it past year one. This is what Solvix was born to do, not just chase numbers, but change lives. I didn't come to sue or to sell. I aim to give something back before I disappear again, because soon, I won't be around much longer. Mia's breath caught. What do you mean? David smiled faintly. Doctors say 6 months. Maybe less. Liver's gone, damage done. Too much silence. Too much weight. The room fell still. Even Jared's expression cracked. I wanted to see it one last time. The place I once loved. The people who now carry it. And then he turned, walked out of the room, leaving the envelope on the table. No demands, no drama, just memory. A week later, Mia received a letter, handwritten, simple. Thank you for seeing me when no one else did. That day, you didn't look through me. You looked at me. That's all I ever wanted from this company, from the world, to be seen. She cried, quietly, at her desk. The letter now lives in a frame by her monitor. And that envelope, it wasn't forgotten. Solvix adopted one of David's old ideas, a software prototype designed to assist homeless veterans with job placement and digital literacy. They named it Blake. Sometimes, people still talk about the quiet man who stood at the door, the one nobody recognized, the one everyone had forgotten. But now, they remember.